Well, good afternoon. Happy Friday, January 23rd. Mark Milam here, your mortgage professional. Let's get right to it. So, some disappointing news from the NAR for the month of December. Pending home sales in the month of December, the lowest December on record that we have seen. Pending home sales here, which track the number of contracts signed in December, plunged 9.3%. That's an annual figure adjusted from the month of November. And that's the lowest level for December on record. The data goes back all the way to 2010. Now, all markets are not created equal. If you scroll down this article a bit, you can see that what happened in the Midwest was by far the worst. We go down here to the Midwest region. You can see it was down 14.9%. The West Coast was down at 13.3%. Those are the two worst. In the Northeast, a drop of 11%. And down here where we are in the South, pending home sales fell by just 4%. So if there's a ray or a silver lining in this cloud, it's that the South only saw a 4% drop in pending sales, but the overall number not encouraging as the housing market seeks to recover from a 3.5-year long recession. The Mortgage Bankers Association sent a list to the White House of easy wins for mortgage costs. In other words, everyone's trying to solve the same problem when it comes to housing, and that is affordability. But the theories about how to do that are pretty varied. And ultimately, the Mortgage Bankers Association feels like there are some easy levers that can be pulled to improve housing affordability and sent a letter to the White House recommending those. So they'd like to end tri-merge credit reporting requirements for Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac eligible loans, reduce mortgage insurance premium for government-backed FHA loans. We know the FHA has been showing a significant higher capital ratio than is required by Congress. Reducing loan level pricing adjustments for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac loans. Boy, we have been talking about that now for what seems like 2 or 3 years. In January of 2023, loan level pricing adjustments were worsened under the prior administration, and they're just so heavy-handed now that you find yourself in a very difficult situation trying to provide a no points rate to a client who may not have perfect credit or perhaps is buying an investment property or a condominium with minimal down payment. Ultimately, these loan level price adjustments have gotten out of hand. Yes, they're a profit center for sure for the GSEs, but they are really impacting homeownership affordability negatively. And if you want a quick way that doesn't require the approval of Congress, that we can immediately make housing more affordable, you can right-size those loan level price adjustments, maybe back to January of 2023. Or we could go back even further and get closer to 2008 when we didn't even have loan level price adjustments. So ultimately, that we believe is one of the biggest levers that can be pulled to improve home ownership affordability. There's lots of ideas that have been floated around by the administration: 50-year amortization mortgages, portable mortgages, a ban on institutional buying of investment properties. All of those have complexities that far outweigh the headline that captures everyone's attention. And one other idea that's been floated was the use of 401k for down payment money without penalty for those seeking to buy a house. But it now appears that the president has backed off of this. This article here says Trump opposes plan to use 401k savings for down payment, which is kind of interesting because ultimately this plan was proposed by one of his top economic advisors. So Trump saying, I'm not a huge fan. Other people like it. He says on January the 22nd, yesterday aboard Air Force One, he said, one of the reasons I don't like it is because the 401ks are doing so well. But Trump's comments marked an abrupt shift from White House policy. Kevin Hassett, the director of the National Economic Council, who last week said that the administration was finalizing a plan that some 401k funds could go toward down payment, part of a series of initiatives there on housing from the administration. Ultimately, you can see what's happening here. 2026 is a huge year, and as we head off to the midterm elections later this year, housing is going to be front and center in the world of politics. We have to find a way to make housing more affordable. The real challenge on that front is not really interest rates, candidly. Interest rates, if you look back historically, are really in pretty great territory. The problem is the immense run-up in home prices that we saw throughout the decade of the 2010s, moving through the pandemic in early 2020s. And ultimately, wages just haven't kept pace, and that's why we wind up with the haves and the have-nots when it comes to housing. Listen, if you secured an interest rate in the decade of the 2010s or through the pandemic, you're probably sitting in a pretty great position for affordability with your home. If you did not, you're on the outside looking in, and we're not sure that interest rates can really solve this problem. It's going to be a combination of factors, and The reality of it is home prices need to plateau at least for a period of time in order to allow wages to catch back up. This is going to be a long-term thing to get the housing market healthy, but there certainly are levers we can pull in the short run to make refinancing easier, for instance, the relaxation of the loan level price adjustments, and to make mortgage insurance cancelable for FHA loans. Those are two ideas that we think have a ton of merit and hopeful to see the administration push those through in the calendar year 2026. If I can be of any service to you over the icy weekend we're going to have here in Atlanta, don't hesitate to reach out, mark.milam@highlandmtg.com.